Hello to you. So we are back on this piece, not a doodle. And yeah, I worked on this area last time. And I'm going to work on this area now. Right. So pen cap off and set to the side like so. And I'm going to zoom, boom, doom. Just like that. No doom, just zoom, boom. I'm not going to doom it. All right. What am I going to do? Well, one thing I'd like to do before we even get into the shading is bring this area down here. It's a little bit too rounded for my taste. There you go. Yeah, just like that. And, oh, that worked. And I do believe that this is going to be fairly opaque and dark, so I don't need to go so light, but I still want to keep the layered effect. Now you see I just created a little thing there. That happens all the time while you're working. There's always something else that can be put in. And it sometimes I get the feeling it's a bit too much, too many options really. It's like if you have all the colors in the world and sometimes it's hard to choose. So it's not always a good thing, but it's interesting. It can create lots of little flourishes in your work. Too many sometimes, in my case. Really, I'm finding that there's just so many possibilities that sometimes it's easier to create a little bit of a rule for yourself before you go into a piece. Like I'm only gonna do, I'm only gonna have one area of extreme detail, and the rest is gonna be blocked in, for example. And if you're working with color, maybe you can be, I'm only gonna use one shade of red and one shade of blue or something like that. So you can set boundaries, right? And that helps. All right. So this is starting to look like, you see something is all coming in like this. You see it's focusing on this character right here, which I still see as a character. Now, right about here, I will make it similar to, let's say, this area in lightness, if I can. So what I'm going to do is just very lightly put lines like this, you see. One thing that I'm doing here is finding the area between the lines, so where the paper's coming through. Like right there, you see that right there? It's there, I can see it. So I'm just gonna try and cover it up like that. And if you keep doing that, then eventually you get a fairly opaque area that can be light. It's a little bit of a mystery sometimes how the ballpoint pen works, right? If you're just using it to draw a line, well then how can you get an area that's shaded smoothly over a large area? And this is difficult for me. Some people might be able to do it better than I can. Maybe. Yes. Plenty of people can do it better than I can. But I can do it. I mean, I can get it fairly consistent over a larger area, but it's not so easy. I guess it depends on what level of quality you're trying to hit. How smooth do you want it to look, right? I've noticed that some larger pieces that have been rendered in ballpoint pen, you get a little closer and yeah, you can see more detail in the lines, and it's not so, it's not an area that's covered so much. You get close and you can see in between the lines, like the paper is showing through. Sometimes I go a little too deep in that, and I'm trying not to have any of the paper show through. In areas that maybe I should, it would be better for me just to let it go. So for example, okay, down here, yeah, you can see these individual lines, right? And you kind of can here, but less so. So now, yeah, I'm just going to try and hit all the areas where the paper's showing through. But not too much. You see, if you go too much, then you're just going to get dark. And if you want that, fine. But if you want it to be lighter, then no, not fine. So these are the points that I'm considering as I'm drawing. And I want to leave that little white highlight there. These little white highlights that you leave, they add to the effect of light shining on it and giving it more of a 3D look. So this would suggest that there's some light coming from this area, you see. All right, I like that. Yeah, that's lighter, you see. So notice there's the darker area and there's a lighter area, right? That's the beauty of oil-based ballpoint pens, is that you can have this effect as opposed to the more water-based ink. That will give you good stippling, which is just dot, 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 dot. That's nice with those types. And also good, nice, strong blocks of color, black, or whatever ink you're using. But it's not going to give you these various shades like this. You can give the illusion of that by doing some cross-hatching and whatnot, but you're not going to get this shading effect. All right, so here, I want to go darker right around here, and then lighter in here. That's my plan, and then keep that white there. So what I'll do, again, I want to use layering. I don't want to just try and get it at optimal darkness in one go. That's not what I want. And the reason being, because when you layer, there's a certain quality that comes through because you're not pressing against the paper. So therefore you're not denting the paper with the nib of your pen, and also you are allowing the ink to come out more gently, and therefore it is able to dry. And then when you go back over it again, it produces a new layer, and that adds to the quality of the application. All right, turn it around so I can come back around like this. You see, I have more control in this instance. Actually, I hadn't intended to come around here, but I saw that while I'm in this position, I can take advantage of that. You see, butting the ink right up against that pre-drawn line. All right, now I'm going to go around here like so. Okay, good. And I'm going to leave that white area for now. I might want to cover it up, but if I cover it up, then there's no going back. So I want to see about leaving it and see what it does. That's sometimes what I do. Often, actually, what I do is I will not cover up something for a while just to see if I can make it work. Like this highlight here, or this area that I haven't drawn in yet. And the reason is because it might be to my advantage to keep it. Might look good for some reason. I don't know though. Don't know yet. I felt like I was pushing a little too hard there. I get impatient sometimes. There's a way of thinking about being patient with these pieces that I talked about earlier, but it's worth repeating or mentioning again. And that is, these things will take time or not. Sometimes they go really quickly, but then when they go really quickly, I'm not sure about the quality if you're rushing through something. Of course, it's not always the case. Sometimes you can be really quick and it's great because it's sketchy or you're just very fast. But however fast you are, you can always go faster or slower, right? So whatever is what you consider too fast, whatever that speed is, I don't know. But that speed of being too fast, being fairly or a bit impatient, it can work against you. And what I'm thinking here is, at some point, if you're lucky, you'll grow old. And you'll have this history, right, that you spent time doing. And it doesn't even have to be in the far future for you. It can be immediately, like, you're done with this in, let's say, 3 weeks. Okay? Well, you think, oh, that took 3 weeks. Well, that's a long time. But now you're done. You have this piece forever, right? And even if you sell it, that piece exists. So it's one of those things where it's worth it to take the time. If that is your goal, is to have a finished piece. Now, a lot of these I've just been rushing through because I just didn't think I wanted to keep it. Just show a technique. And also the folder I have with 200, 300 of these type of sketches. Many of them are just really not that great. So there's no reason to think that I could turn them into anything I'd want to mount on a wall, right? So they're just good for demoing, really. All right, so I still have this area up here. Now, this is a little dark, right? Just here. And it doesn't look too great. So what I'm going to do is cross-hatch it to give it a little bit of a higher quality, see? Like that. And then just touch that highlight area. Touch it. If the ink in your pen is fairly warmed up, I've been holding this, so I guess I've been heating up the pen, the shaft, and so the ink, the oil inside of there is flowing a little better. So you can just touch it and it'll be enough. that. All right, so I'm going to go back here. And as I had planned, I wanted to have this inside area lighter. And there's a little line there. You probably, let me see, can you see it? Yeah, you can see it. It starts there and then it goes like that. See? So I will try and keep that open for now. Who knows? Maybe I'll close it up, but just for now, keep it open. Not bad. Not great. Not bad. I'd give it a 5 out of 10. It's average. So I'm turning it around, and I'm going to just very lightly try and get some of those areas that are not so consistent, while the whole time trying to keep it light as I can. Just going as close to that edge without erasing that highlight there. It's tricky here. But I think I managed it. Not done yet, though. Can always overwork it. Yeah. I want to see that area still. I want to work on there. Okay. Now, what about this light area right here? It's a little too light for me, so I'm going to fill it in a little bit. Very lightly, though. For now. Yeah. Good. Cross hatching here. That's all right. Now I'm going to go into this white area with the cross hatching, because that'll help to eliminate a little bit of the brightness there. A little bit too bright for me. Like so. Okay. Yeah, that's a little better. And then I'm going to go down like I was in the first place. Still trying to keep it as light as possible without sacrificing the coverage, the consistency of the coverage. All right. Yes. Okay. Now, this white, or this line here still has not been, the area that this line borders has not been filled in, because I wanted to have that as the highlight, or a highlight. There's another highlight down here as well. So while I'm here, I just might as well go back and there's one more pass, darken it in a bit, like that. Okay. So I will do the same type of thing, light, like that. And I would like this to be a little lighter, because it's more on top, like so. It's not the highest quality there, so I'll go a little slower. Okay, and then darken this area a little bit more. Yeah. Not bad, not bad, not bad. Pretty good. So you see now this area, which is really tiny, it took me about, what, 15 minutes or 12 minutes or so? Yeah. Let me we go, I think I'll just do this area right here because this looks pretty cool and I want to include it in this session here, in this Pendemo. I went a little bit too hard there. Again, sometimes my impatience gets the better of me. Like so. Okay. All right. Yeah, that's pretty good. Now, how do I want to do, when I'm thinking about this area right there, perhaps, oh, wait, before I do that, I just realized I do need a little bit more of a definition here. It's kind of weak, this line, so at this point, I do want to press fairly hard, but also go quickly, you see. That won't give a weak line at all. I'll give a good, bold, strong line like that. So there are reasons to press hard sometimes. All right. So let's move into this area real quick. Quick enough as keeping consistent quality. I am going light because I am interested in this area to be a higher quality than, or the highest quality I can for the time allotted. Here we go. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Tap, tap. Tap, stroke, tap, tap, stroke. Yeah. Tapping is a good way. All right. Turn it to give it a little bit of a cross-hatching treatment here. Hatching is just stroking the paper with a pen. That's hatching, or the pencil, or the charcoal stick. So when you go in a perpendicular way, then you're cross-hatching, right? Right. And it's meant to fill in some of these areas that you wouldn't get if you're going in the original direction. Like that. All right. It's really dark, but also a little bit layered, and I have left that very small slight line. I didn't butt right up against the other line on purpose. Hitting the bottom here a little bit more, like so, just to make sure that I've filled in and I'm defining that area, that curve right there. Okay, and then do the same for this area, but this time I'm going to hit the line because it would look strange to me to have a white, dark white. I just feel it's not quite correct. I'm going with my gut there. No explanation as to why, just it's the way I feel about it. And the feeling is all you have as an artist. This is your expression. No rules. there are guidelines, there's suggestions, but ultimately it'll be your piece. Do you like it or not? You'll know. You will intuit. Okay. It's a little bit light, so it's like light dark. It needs to blend a little more, so I'm going to make it a little bit darker close to this boundary right up here, but let it fade to this lighter area up here. So just keeping your nib in this area while you're stroking it really, really quickly, but lightly as well. Okay, yeah, and I can see working this area right here is darker, but I'm just leaving it alone for now. I'll always come back later to it. So let's see where we are at this point in this piece's journey towards completion. This is where we are. We're here. All right. Let me zoom out. Just like that. So I can see some effect happening in there. Maybe I don't really know what to do about that. Something will happen, but I don't know yet what. I'm not even going to think about it. Just let it go. I can see this wrapping up fairly quickly. These don't really take all that long. Not really. But long enough. Just long enough. And if you do that, then